A very good morning, good afternoon. Hope you're doing very well. Nice little 15 setting up here, I can just see, which I dare say you are looking at. And this 5 minute here, you may have even got 2 points out of that. Nice little area. You can see I've got this area highlighted in green. I know we're about basic sentiment's very positive. I'm going to go through everything in a couple of minutes, but inventory positive. Got these sellers getting trapped here. So when you pull back right to that level, very nice opportunity for potential longs. And you can see here, look at those sellers getting trapped there by buyers. So, not a bad little area for buying. You can see anything down to this area here, to those sellers, anything coming down to here. All right. So if you look at this on the 5, what you can see, just see where the highs of the day are, above the highs of the day, into a bit of a value area. Just want to have a look at it. Yeah, it's sort of into a value area, but looks like there's a wee bit more upside here. You got Goolsby speaking at 2, so I just got to check. So that's not bad at all. So buyers, I don't mind buying into that actually. Let's see. I'm happy to buy into that with stops just running 5448, just 5447. See if we can get a bit of a run. So I'm happy to buy into that with these buyers trapping those sellers. This is a key 15-minute area, so happy just to run stops underneath 5448 will be fine. Good morning, Anthony. Good to see you. Just seeing this nice little area, nice for longs. Got these buyers coming in pre-market and inventory positive, sellers trapped. A nice little area. So I just entered a long at these current prices here. Just stops under 5447 in case it turns around. Otherwise, I do like this. Might potentially add to it if you see anything on the 1 minute. So I'll just keep that. Hey, Najim. Morning, mate. So, looks like Trump may have blinked. So we'll get on with the analysis. Got Goolsby chatting now as well. I'm nearly out of that. Right, I'm out of that. It's just that's moving the wrong direction. There's some sellers coming in. But lovely little area for potential buyers here. You got these sellers trapped here. So anything that gets trapped down there, good opportunity for potential buying. If we see anything in this kind of zone, when we're looking at that carefully here, out of that early long. But again, you see got sellers trapped here and here.
From Xinhua, China's Xi tells in a UN leaders meeting that China's effort to promote international cooperation will not weaken.
So just keep that on the 1 as well. Nice little area anyway around this. You're right, Najim. It is early for Anthony. Good to see you. Positive sentiment for sure. Let's get stuck into it. Okay, so we're all here now. So let's get going pretty much. So the first thing to note is that sentiment is positive today. Trump is basically blinking. So he says that he's not going to fire Jerome Powell, and he just wants Powell to be earlier on time. Vance has also said, the vice president, that the US is making progress across the board on trade deals. And Bessent said yesterday, just as we left the session, that he's looking to de-escalate things. Okay, so we're in this scenario where China, they say the door is open for a trade deal, and Trump has already said that it's not going to be 145% tariffs, but it won't be 0. If you just take a look at the tariff list, right, you can see that these huge tariffs that are set to come on China, 145%, huge in numbers. He said, no, it's not going to be 145%. It's going to be, but it won't be 0 either. A lot of the rest of the world is 10%, 25% for Canada and Mexico on non-USMCA products due to fentanyl. So if the fentanyl things it could be a mover today, Anthony.
Just seen the latest Reuters poll concerning the UK on the BOE. First to cut bank rate by 25 basis points to 4.25% on May 8th, says all these 67 economists asked to cut bank rate by 25 basis points each quarter to 3.75% by the end of this year. According to the median forecast for UK GDP growth, that's to average 0.9% in 2025, down from 1.1% in the March poll. And for 2026, that's now seen at an average of 1.2%, down from the March poll of 1.4%. And all economists will rather say that the US tariffs have had a negative impact on UK business sentiment.
Okay. So on that note, we'll have a look at the PMIs that are coming out from the US today, and sentiment has been hit badly in the UK, and that's really sort of flowing through markets. Although we're seeing a bit of selling now, sentiment is positive across major markets. You can see here VIX trending lower, US equity futures all up, DAX, Euro stocks up, FTSE 100 down, but after a gap higher, China 50 off best levels of the day. But this positive sentiment is just kind of hanging around. If you look at gold, that's selling off just on that kind of relief that maybe things are coming together with Donald Trump and China. And if you look at the US 10-year yields, this is the reassuring market. And you can see here, look, the yields are pushing lower. And that's a good indication that markets are feeling more confident again. So that's the idea that Trump's blinked, that this move we're seeing in US 10-year yields. In other words, investors are happy to buy America again, which is what that bid into the treasuries represents. There's also an auction coming out for the US bond market today as well, which will be very closely followed. So that positive sentiment is just there, and the dollar strengthening into last night and off the better levels of the day. You know, it's dollars finding buyers. That's positive. Markets getting more confidence
and more
again
from
in
Boeing. CEO
US.
said it is currently producing 737 Maxes in the low 30s rate per month.
Right, and you've got here the New Zealand Aussie dollar towards the highs of the day. CAD's lower on oil, moving lower, and you know, its markets are sort of quite positive towards risk. Okay, so it's a risk positive session for the start, but we do have some important data obviously for us to look at. Looking at economic data that's due to come out, right? Big miss in UK PMIs prints. That's on the trade war sentiment impact hitting these purchase manager indexes. These are things like people are asking, you know, what you're going to do about, you know, orders in the future. Are orders increasing? Are they decreasing? You know, what's sort of going on? That's the kind of impact that we're looking at right now. So the US S&P PMI is not as influential as the ISM data points, but nevertheless influential. They will also be coming out as well, right? So quite easily they're going to be hit. I was seeing a report that some small businesses in the US are just totally holding back on buying any inventory at all, and they're just working through their existing inventory until they know what on earth is going on with tariffs. And if they have to buy new inventory with heavy tariffs, that you know really dreading it. Okay, so keep that in mind with the PMI print. We could see a sudden shove down lower in the 500, but then I would potentially expect that drop to be bought. So as Anthony points out, this could set the tone. Even though the tone's positive now, we could see a little bit of negativity creep in. Now, Najem, that's not off topic at all. It's a great topic. That the SNB might need to make an intervention to weaken their currency. Yeah, basically what the Swiss hate is they hate a really strong Swiss franc. So with all the risk-off trading that we've been seeing recently, right, that's the Aussie, hang on, where's the Swissy? Right, here it is. See, all that risk-off trading we've been seeing recently has been supporting the Swiss franc. Now, a strong Swiss franc makes Swiss exports less competitive around the world. And the Swiss is an export-driven economy, hate it. So when this goes very high, there's pressure domestically.
Update from the EU. It does stand ready to fast-track a resumption of free trade negotiations with Australia, according to the European Chair of Foreign Affairs Committee. So the thing to watch out for is if we do see the SNB intervene in the Swiss franc, but what they'll most likely do first is negative interest rates, and that should weaken the Swiss franc. So that's what's going on with the Swissy, and the way they weaken it is they buy euros and dollars, and that sends the Swiss franc lower. And they've done it successfully in the past, but then ultimately they had to give up doing it. So they do it, but they're not majorly keen on it. And often markets will run in terms of speculation when they start intervening. So basically this is what they hate.
this strength in the Swiss franc. You know, it just drives them nuts, and it makes it very difficult for the exporters. Everything becomes less competitive abroad, and that's the problem. Looking at the calendar, Walla speaking at 2:35, very influential. Markets move on Walla, so we've got to be that's right at the open. Then we got the S&P PMIs, so it may be worth just holding to see what happens across the PMI prints. And then we've got these auctions coming up later, and markets will want to know how much demand is there for
the company hopes to
US
conduct more
Treasuries.
Starliner flights in the coming year.
Right. So on balance, positive inventory, positive data. If you look here on the 15-minute chart, right, you can see here we've pulled back. You have got some buyers trapped there, but you see those sellers trapped here and here. So I will consider another long if I can just get above that 1 minute candle here. So if I go above this, any sellers there are going to go long again. In fact, I'll just let's see how we're doing for time. I've got 20 seconds. I think I might just right. I'm going to enter in on that a little bit early. We'll see. And I want micros, not the big ones. All right. So there you got 1 minute trapping those sellers. All right, see if I can get a bit of a run up here, just ahead of the open. Not going to probably get very far because you've got these buyers trapped up here at the 448. So I might just take a little run up to the 448 if I can get there. Just going to see how it reacts up here.
Update from BCB's David says we are in super consensus that we are in contractionary territory.
Just taking it off because I got a little nudge into that area, which if you look here, so you see this is the buying area here, right? Because this is where those sellers were trapped. So we've moved down to where those trapped sellers were, and now we're moving back up, but we're only moving back as far as where the sellers trapped these buyers. So just happy to take profit up at that area. We've got the open coming up. So just trying to be a bit nimble, right? Just trying to make a little bit here as we move up to this area here. You might see a reversal, you might not, you know, it'll depend. Hey, Brian, good to see you, mate. Right. But there we go, those sellers getting the run up to the standard deviation and just taking that off there. Just a quick move, right? But not unreasonable given the overall structure. And then I'll just be waiting for the next opportunity. With all these data points coming out, it could get a bit choppy. Okay, so going to keep it on the 15 so we can keep the overall perspective. Brian, the overall sentiment, it's positive. We've got some risk factors coming up. Got Walla speaking at 2:35. Goolsby should be speaking around now. And we've got US PMIs. They're probably going to say dire things. Expect stocks to sell off and then probably get bid. Because Trump has backed down. He's not going to fight Powell. He says that tariffs won't be 0% on China, but they're not going to be 145%. So it's positive sentiment. Now let's look at the structure. Okay, before we look at structure, just a couple of things. Earnings. We had Tesla earnings last night. Tesla's up about 6% because Musk says that he's going to get back to work at Tesla and he's not going to be working so much with Doge. So that's been positive for Tesla, even though the earnings really disappointed. Got Boeing, that's reasonable. It's all fairly dire, but it's just not as terribly dire as markets were expecting. So Boeing's up as well. Intel coming after the close on Thursday. IBM coming out after the close today. Sentiment not massively impacted by earnings, just simply because it's majorly being swayed by tariff news. That's the big headline. These are the big tariffs. Any good news over China, stocks up. Okay, that's what we're looking for. So as we look at it, daily, we're up at that sort of major VWAP on the daily chart. You can see here, we've got trap sellers down there. We've got some pretty big trap sellers here as well, if we can push above that level. And obviously big sellers at the 5512. So big areas to be looking at, as well as these lows here, the 5536. So we're coming up to some big levels on the daily chart, definitely worth looking at. On the hourly chart, we can see here, buyers, right, trap these sellers here, and they're pushing things higher, okay? So the momentum is moving higher. The inventory is positive. We're looking to keep moving higher on the weekly chart. We're into this area here. Looking on the 1 minute chart, did we close above these highs? Let's have a look. Yes, we did. So I will buy into that again. Just got those sellers just trapped there. Let's see if I can get another move higher and just putting stops underneath the 5448. So just there, buyers coming in a bit of volume, trying to trap these sellers, and ideally that can just have a little flush. Maybe this will have a, another run up to this level here, and see if we can get up to these highs just before the open. You can see here buyers trying to come in, trying to slice through these sellers here, see if they can manage it. We've got about 7 minutes to the open. Maybe see if I can get a few points out of this. That's definitely a bid into it. Again, you got these sellers trapped here. You can push above those highs. That would be nice. Potentially get the run up then to the 5456. Then you got buyers now trapping these sellers here. All right, got 5 minutes to the open. Just coming up to the open.
Coming up at the bottom of the hour in just under 1 minute time now, we are expecting a text release from Fed's Waller and potentially remarks from Fed's Mislam. No text release as of yet seen from either of the Fed members.
So here we are. We're up at the open. I was knocked out, but I've got back in here. I do like this structure. I like this 5 minute area for potential buyers here with those trapped sellers. So I'm just going to see if I can just get through this.
Just do note, some calendars for Fed's Waller do have him speaking in about 4 minutes time.
Entry is positive, looking to buy, looking to push up, see if we can test those highs. Just taking that off up at the tops, just into that value area, so just taking it off there. Stopped out there, re-entered, taking it off at the top. So going back to just analyzing this now, what's going on? Let's have a look. So we've got buyers, right, trapping those sellers down here, above that. It's that point of control. That's not a bad area for potential re-entry. See here, the entry is positive. I'm just going to hold fire because I've got Waller chatting now, and that could skew the picture a little bit. Close of play for April the 23rd. Very positive sentiment for the first half of the session and heading into the session. That quickly changed. Took a number of trades today. P&L up $531. So positive green day. The best opportunity, there were quite a few opportunities, sort of 9 trades today, sort of quite regularly in and out. So I'm not going to share them all. I'm going to share the last setup of the day, which Anthony got. And I think that's a really good one to show. So we were looking at this together, and if you notice here on the 15, we had these 15-minute sellers, right, trapping these buyers. And then as these buyers got trapped, you can see we were looking with sellers trapping all these buyers. We were looking for an opportunity to short in this red zone here. And then we got that with a 1 minute retracement. Now, originally I took a little short from here, with those buyers getting trapped. I took a short here and then just got out as we hit their standard deviation, as it became obvious these buyers were trapping sellers. But the better entry, and the one that Anthony took at the end of the day beautifully, was when we hit that red zone, we had the buyers, and then look, sellers trapped the buyers here against the red zone. Stops could be placed just above 5442, and we had an opportunity to go short from the open of the 5430 candle just down to standard deviation, potentially even the lows of the day, right? So that was a great trade. Anthony took just pushing it down through there. I took the earlier trade and it just was clearly going in the wrong direction. But nice little trade, and nice to finish the day positive in the green. And we'll be back for tomorrow. And exactly, Anthony, well said. Good job, everyone. Good day, great trading. Choppy day for most of it. It only came a little bit clearer with the sell towards the end of the session, and tricky with the headlines. So good work, folks. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Take care and have a very good rest of your evening.